Alright, let's overreact to the first 4 days of the playoffs. Everybody has played 2 games now. This Lakers Portland game is still going on, but it's over. LA's killing them. Let's start with that series. That series is a real prime example of why I didn't make a video after the game ones, because even myself was thinking, man, Portland didn't even shoot that well in that game. Like, they were trapping Dame at half court, and Dame was still getting buckets. Gary Trent and Carmelo could have played better. You know, I had all these thoughts that maybe Portland can pull it out. But let's be real with ourselves. LA is the far superior team. Like I said a while ago, Portland has nobody to guard LeBron. You know, they put Gary Trent on him for most of the game. And that's cute, you know, Gary Trent's cool, but that's not sustainable. Hassan Whiteside reverted back to being shitty Hassan Whiteside, which was also predictable. Anthony Davis was a monster this game. And really, like, he still has another level to go in this series. I don't even think we've seen the best Anthony Davis. We definitely haven't. And we haven't even seen the best LeBron either. LeBron actually was kind of shit tonight, now that I'm looking at his stats. But, you know, just having LeBron out there creating for people and just being the steady hand that the Lakers need, because they really don't have another point guard even in the rotation at this moment. I mean, the only point guard on the roster since Rondo's out right now is Quinn Cook, and come on, guys, Quinn Cook isn't doing anything. But anyways, I think LA is probably going to win the next 3 games, so I got Lakers in 5. Let's go to the Rockets Thunder, and man, that switch everything defense that the Rockets are playing has really kind of proven to be OKC's kryptonite. OKC needs to shoot better, first of all, because the Rockets are kind of playing, they're not playing a zone, but it looks like a zone, you know? It's just that they're switching everything, so it's technically still man to man. But the way you beat that is you need to have shooters. You gotta hit those open shots while they're rotating. So far, they're not doing it. They've been able to keep Steven Adams on the court, which I think is big for offensive rebounds, and they were rebounding well, you know. But they're probably going to have to, like, destroy them on the glass in these next couple games if the Thunder want to even win one game. I can't see Chris Paul getting swept, but I kind of lost all faith in the Thunder. So I got Rockets in 5 in that one. Next, we got Nuggets Jazz. I think this series has got 7 games written all over it. Donovan Mitchell really did a fantastic job of setting up his teammates in this last game. Obviously, 57 in game 1 is ridiculous. You know, the 3rd highest scoring playoff performance of all time. But one thing that I found interesting about like all the other highest scoring playoff performances, like when Jordan had 63, they lost. When Donovan Mitchell had 57, they lost. I believe when Elgin Baylor had 61, they lost too. So it seems like that's not a recipe for success, and I would agree. You can't. It's a team game. One player can't beat the whole team. But Utah did a great job getting like Jordan Clarkson going. Joe Ingles is always great, but he got going that game too. Even Rudy Gobert did something on offense at least. I know it's easy to hate on Gobert because he really like has barely any offensive skills, but he is a really great screen setter and a great lob threat, and he did his job this last game. Also, it helps that Jamal Murray had a typical Jamal Murray 2 games. You know, one game where Jamal Murray is fantastic, the next game where he's straight up ass. Michael Porter Jr. also for the Nuggets is kind of proving to be not unplayable, because he had like 28. Let's see, yeah, he had 28 last game, but he's rough defensively. The Jazz are going at him any chance they get, and I think he's unplayable down the stretch. So we'll see how that develops. You know, the dude's still young. He's coming off that back injury. I mean, he had drop foot for the last 2 years of his life. So we'll see if Maga Porter Jr. can work on his defense and come back next year and just at least kind of know what he's doing on that end, you know? So I want to pick the Jazz in 7. I really do. I really want to see Donovan Mitchell succeed. But I got the Nuggets in 7 in that one. Next, we got Mavericks Clippers. Yo, I thought the Clippers were going to steamroll in this series. I thought this was a horrible matchup for Dallas. But low-key, Dallas should be up 2-0 right now. I think they got hosed, not just with the Porzingis ejection, just with a bunch of calls in Game 1. And, you know, they were down like 16 in the beginning of that first quarter in Game 1. They climbed back and really took full control of the game before Porzingis was knocked out. And even after Porzingis was kicked out, they still competed and had a chance to win. And then in Game 2, you know, playoff Pete, Paul George really showed up. And he turned in a classic 4 for 17, 2 for 10 from 3. Paul George's playoff performance. And man, some of the memes on Twitter talking about Kawhi Leonard left a guaranteed championship in Toronto to go play with playoff Pete. Yo, that shit had me weak. That was hysterical. And I can't believe I was actually so wrong on this series. I think Dallas has a shot to win the entire series. I'm not going to pick them, but I think I'm going to pick Clippers in 6. And it's going to be a close 6. It's definitely going to be difficult. And now I'm super interested in that series. I'm definitely going to watch every game in that one. Alright, so let's go to the Eastern Conference now. Let's start with Bucks and Magic. Game 1 was a fluke. I'm sorry, like everybody on the Bucks shot horribly besides Giannis. Nikola Vucevic had like an out-of-body experience and just was like turned into God for a game. I don't expect that to happen again. Today, despite Middleton playing like straight booty cheeks, the Bucks still steamrolled them. You know, Bledsoe was okay. Brook Lopez was hitting his shots. Pat Connaughton, super underrated by the way. Pat Connaughton was doing his thing. I'd like to see more George Hill. I know George Hill can give them more, but he's also a vet. You know, he might be saving himself for the bigger moments. And of course, Giannis was great. I think he had 28 and 20 boards. Giannis is fine. Giannis is going to do his thing in this series. I got Bucks in 5. Next series, Heat and Pacers. Man, if the Pacers were healthy and they had Sabonis and they had Oladipo at full strength, I like that team. That's a really deep team. And I think every guy in their rotation is like a legitimate positive NBA player. But they just don't have anybody on the floor right now. I can't even put Oladipo on the same level as Bam and Jimmy. Like when Miami has the 2 best players in the series, you know, maybe even Dragic is better than anybody on the Pacers. You know, the Pacers' margin for error right now is so slim. TJ Warren has come crashing back to earth. Sadly, Bubble Warren is over with. You know, Malcolm Brogdon's nice. Miles Turner needs to get in the paint. I'm pretty done with Miles Turner standing 30 feet from the basket and shooting threes. And I know I sound like a cranky old head when I say that shit, but dude, he's like 7 feet tall. He's stronger and quicker than every other center on the floor, at least like in this series, besides maybe Bam. But still, like, he should be down there in the paint, you know, doing the type of shit Bam does for Miami. Miles Turner should be the Bam for the Pacers. And he's just not that guy, and he hasn't been that guy for his entire time in the league. And we can all see the talent, and we can all be like, damn, you know, the Pacers got a good one in Miles Turner. If he could just put it all together, maybe he can be something, but it's been a long time, man. I don't think we're going to get it. I'm kind of tired of waiting. I think, honestly, they need to trade him while he still has some value. So I got Heat in... I'm going to say Heat in 5, because I think the Pacers team is well coached. I think it is a deep team, and I think they play with a lot of pride. I don't think they're going to get swept, but I don't think it'll be a close 5. I think the Heat might go up 3-0 and just kind of snooze through a game 4. Next series, we got Celtics-Sixers. Yeah, this is getting ugly really fast. The Sixers really messed up the process, man. They did not trust the fucking process. That was the whole fucking slogan. They rushed it. You know, 3 years ago, when they had a young Dario Saric, Robert Covington, They traded for Markelle Fultz. I know that didn't turn out well, but they had Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid. All these young guys, you're like, man, they probably have the best future in the NBA. They trade that plus their draft picks for a year of Jimmy Butler and a year of Tobias Harris, and then they're like, oh shit, we just traded everybody for two guys who are gonna be free agents this year. We have to re-sign one of them. We can't let both of them walk. So then they trap themselves into 5 years, $40 million a year of Tobias fucking Harris, who's Mr. 15 points a game, not a closer, not an off-the-dribble scorer that you need him to be for this team to be successful in the playoffs. And that's just it's a horrible signing. Even in the moment, you're like, man, like, could they have not have given that money to Jimmy Butler instead of Tobias Harris? Because Jimmy was that guy for this team. This team was like a legitimate title contender with Jimmy. This team is not a legitimate title contender with Tobias Harris playing the Jimmy role. It's just not going to work. And obviously the Celtics are kind of clicking on all cylinders right now. I know they just lost Hayward, but let's be real. Hayward's skill set's kind of redundant in that team. He's good. Hayward's a really solid player, and I think another team would probably showcase his talents more. But you have Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, who they're just better at this point. Even Kemba Walker is just a better option. Hayward's the fourth option on that team. He can't really do all the things he did in Utah. So I don't actually think that loss is a big deal. If anything, I just think it means more shots for Tatum. So I think Boston will do fine. I'm actually picking a sweep now. And yeah, my tune kind of changed on that. I really thought that maybe the Sixers had at least a shot because they had no one to guard Embiid. The Celtics, that is. But, I mean, Embiid was cooking last game, and they got blown out. It's more like the Sixers don't even have somebody to throw an entry pass to Embiid. The whole team is a mess. Brett Brown, I don't think he's a horrible coach, but you can only have a team together with the same coach for so long and experience so little success before somebody's coaching just starts to fall on deaf ears, It's time for a change there. It's probably time. No, I take that back. I was getting a little ahead of myself. I was about to say it's probably time to trade one of Simmons or Embiid, but it's really probably time to trade Al Horford, because man, what another disaster signing that was. I don't know what did he have last game? Probably like 2 points. Al Horford, 23 minutes, 4 points, only took 3 shots, only had 2 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 steals, and a block. The dude's like not even, he's like a ghost on the court. Al Horford can't be happy with his role here. He can't be happy with his decision, unless literally at this point he's like, I'm just here for the bag. And hey man, if that's what you want, then shit, I guess he did a good job. But I don't really want to see the last couple of years of good Al Horford wasted being a 6th man that doesn't even want to be a 6th man, So somebody, either Al Horford or Tobias Harris, needs to get traded this offseason. I know it's a Sixers tangent at this point, but I don't even know if anybody wants those contracts. The Sixers have just screwed up everything. It's a mess. I got Boston in 4. In the last series, we got kind of a snooze fest, Raptors-Nets. The Nets played hard. Karis LeVert probably had the best 5 for 22 game I've ever seen last game. Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot, TLC, has been solid for the entire bubble. Joe Harris, Jared Allen, Karis LeVert, they're all solid players and guys I would want on my team, but they just don't have the horses to run with Toronto right now. Fred VanVleet and Kyle Lowry might be the 3rd best backcourt in the league, honestly, at this point. Siakam is kind of had a quiet bubble offensively, but he's fantastic defensively. They got the 2 stud defensive centers in the middle, and Gasol and Ibaka. We're both studs in their different ways, but I think they complement each other great. They can play together. They can be on the floor by themselves. Norman Powell is a great 6th man. This Raptors team is tough, and I still think there's actually a chance they make it back to the finals. It's a really well-balanced team. Nick Nurse is probably the best coach in the league right now. And I got Raptors in 4.